Well, I certainly think that humane education is a key to creating a society that learns to respect animals and to respect their dignity and to feel the compassion that our fellow creatures need and deserve from us. We all want to be treated with compassion. We want our dignity to be respected, but in our society, we are often not very adept at teaching our children to respect the feelings of dogs, cats, birds, and other animals who share the planet with us and share our neighborhoods with us. So it is very important that we find ways to bring humane education, for example, into the classroom as early as possible, because young children want to be kind to animals, I believe, for the most part. I think that it's true that children have an affinity for animals, even though I think children can also be very cruel to animals, because I know that from my own upbringing. But again, a lot of our impulses, which are often in contradiction to each other, are going how we're going to develop as human beings, as individuals, is going to be determined by the kind of lessons we get from the significant adults in our lives, our parents, our teachers, our churches, those around us. So I think it's very important that humane education almost needs to begin with adults. We need to understand how important our influence is on young children, starting at the earliest possible ages. Because if young children have sensitive feelings for animals, as I believe that most do, but they don't get any support from the adults around them, or they are actually taught to enjoy being cruel to animals, like barnyard rodeos and chases and things where poor little children who are scared and many times don't understand what they're being made to do, but they're being conditioned to the idea that it's normal to be cruel to animals and to dominate and abuse them, and that it's okay and this is what God wants, etc., etc. So little children will be forced to run out into a field where chickens are set free and goats and pigs, and they have to grab these animals. They're supposed to grab them by any body part and drag them around, and the parents are cheering them on, and yet some of the children are crying. Again, they're scared, they're bewildered. We can be sure that children maybe don't want to do this, but they are stuck in a situation where they are looking up to their parents, where they're beholden to the adults in their world to please them and to want to please them. So certainly as adults, we need to be humanely educated. We have to pretty much humanely educate ourselves and to want to be humanely educated. And then we want to support our children to not to feel that they're going to be ridiculed if they have compassion for any kind of animal. And I mean, it starts too with how children are encouraged to behave with one another in their own group. As I once taught in a daycare center called, believe it or not, the Little Red Hen in Baltimore, Maryland. A forecast of my future, unbeknown to me at that time. And one of the things I saw there was how early on children form social groups. They form groups of dominance and children who get bullied and children who are bulliers and everything in between. And you just have a wonderful opportunity with children to help them to develop empathy for other children. How would you feel if you were treated like this? What if you, again, children can be taught to care. And it isn't just imposing an attitude upon them so much as bringing out from within them the feelings that they have of empathy and sympathy for a fellow being, but that can be so easily wounded and so trampled upon, particularly by ridicule. Particularly by saying, oh, come on now, you boys especially, as much as girls, even more in some ways, experience being laughed at if they show any compassion for an animal. They're called babies and acting like a girl, and boys are more scared of not pleasing their fathers or their uncles or being called a girl or a sissy than they are about doing something that their whole nature really rebels against, particularly at those young ages. There are stories of young boys who say they did not want to go hunting with their dads, but they felt they had to. They couldn't let their dad think they were weak and cowardly. And I saw that in my own family. My father screaming at my brother when he said he wanted to go out with his girlfriend instead of going hunting with his dad. And my father just lit into my brother and screamed and hollered at him and basically told him he was not a man and all that kind of stuff. So I really think it's important for us to understand when we hear about how girls are oppressed in patriarchal societies. Well, boys are oppressed in patriarchal societies too. So we want to create a world, again, where in the classroom and in the home and in any of the places where children come into adult contact, we want to be mentors to children, to teach them that it's good. It's good to cry over the suffering of an animal. It's good to want to come to an animal's rescue. It shows courage to stand against the crowd. Not that we're encouraging our children to go out there and be beaten up or something like that because they showed an opposition to their social group, but to learn that real courage is standing up for those who can't defend themselves. That real courage means standing up against the mob, against the crowd, and that caring about any fellow being and wanting to help them and to stand by them is an act of courage that really we all need. We all want for ourselves. And if we want that for ourselves, as with the Golden Rule, we want to bestow that upon others. We want to show that to others. We want to identify with others and their feelings. And we want to, as adults, we want to nurture feelings of care and compassion. And as children, we want to be able to feel that we can show feelings of care and compassion without feeling that we're going to experience some kind of scorn from our fellow classmates to our parents or anybody else in the adult world that we are forced to be in until we're out on our own. Certainly, for example, as a teacher at the University of Maryland, I taught for 12 years in the English department, and I think I was very successful in using essays about and articles and stories about animals. And fortunately, there's a wealth of literature that include animals as the theme or somehow the metaphor or whatever for what the story is about. To bring those articles and other forms of literature into my classroom, along with a wide range of literatures about other beings who were maybe at the mercy of some situation or some trauma or something disturbing, and to show the similarities and the dissimilarities, and never to come across as, well, I only care about animals and I don't care about any other suffering group, but to show that you care about you care about living beings, you care about your own species, but you care about others too, and they matter too. And introducing students in high school and in college to an article or an essay like Lauren Isley's "The Bird and the Machine" is just so powerful. I mean, it would take a heart of stone to not be moved by Lauren Isley, the anthropologist's great essay called "The Bird and the Machine," to introduce them to the story by Sarah Orne Jewett called "The White Heron," to even a story by Kafka, "The Metamorphosis," where the son, the adult son, turns into a beetle. And why does Kafka turn the son into a beetle as an expression of the psyche of what this young man has become subjectively? So there are so many wonderful stories. Of course, there's Moby Dick, the great novel by Herman Melville. There is just such a wealth of literature that you can introduce students to in the high school and the college level that will open their minds and their eyes to a world of ideas and experiences involving non-human animals that is just represents a marvelous teaching opportunity, which I took advantage of when I was actually a classroom teacher. I am an educator now and always will be, as much as I was in the classroom, but certainly the classroom is a great way to introduce students through literature, through composition classes, to a wealth of literature that involves non-human animal encounters with human animals, and to discuss how these stories or these articles or these essays, what they have to teach us about our own ethical relations with those who share this planet with us.